Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, 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 boom. Let me open Facebook so I can
Yeah,
interact with you people over there as well.
for sure.
Are we live in the
We
places?
are. We
Things?
are live in all the places.
Awesome. Well, welcome to my. I have never been, by the way, in a smaller hotel room in my entire life. I think this is absolutely designed by someone from like Japan or something. It's like the most efficient use of a small room I've ever seen. Right here behind me is our sink and fridge area. And behind that wall is the bathroom and shower. And then the bed is literally like right here. The whole thing might be like 100 square feet.
This
And
is
they've,
New York City special.
it's a New York City special, but it's a well designed, like, listen, I have a desk here. I got everything you need. It's just in a very, very tight container.
Wait,
But in any, I'm in New York City right now. And it has been This is my first time back here in over 3.5 years, or right around 3.5 years. I was here last March 7th before the world shut down on March 12th of COVID. I haven't been in the city, around the city, etc. So, and between then, like moved from Rockland to Florida, and now this is my first time back in the city. I got to tell you, I can get why people come here and like think that this is the most amazing thing because it's really like there's a lot here. But for me and where I am today, it just feels like the most concrete jungle. Like I can just imagine, like if you were watching from above and you watch all these humans like walk into buildings and out of buildings, it must look like rats, like in any other video where they're just like scurrying everywhere and da, da, da. It's just like such a strange experience to be here. Um,
ants marching.
and it's marching, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I walked yesterday and today through the city, and it's just there's like a vibration here that's so palpable. Plus, there is an incessant. It's almost like they're pumping the weed smell from the air vents of the buildings, like
Wow,
everywhere you walk, it just smells like weed. There are
wow.
people smoking everywhere, just outside. It's a very bizarre phenomena. Um,
Yeah.
so, in any event, I'm coming to you live today from a micro hotel room
That smells like weed.
on the 19th floor of
Like,
a building.
you're high. Are you high right now?
I'm probably from all the contact high that's happening around here.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for
Um,
those that don't know, Glenn and I grew up in right outside the New York City, or right outside Manhattan for 25 years. So it's not a, it was our lives. Like this going into the city was our lives. I haven't been back
yeah,
since Jaden was 6 months old.
yeah. I
Believe it
mean,
or not.
I drove down the West Side Highway and was just having like flashbacks. I was
Yeah,
like, oh my god,
flashbacks.
oh my god, oh my god, I haven't done this in so long.
Totally, but don't miss
Um,
it. I don't. I
yeah,
really don't. It's like I feel like I got my fill for a few lifetimes, and I'm like, it's. I get it. Same thing. I'm like, it's an amazing place to be and so good, but I'm like, I'm so happy I'm out there.
yeah. I honestly, the only thing I've missed from being in the city or around the city is what I'm going to do tonight, which is to go see a Broadway theater play,
Uh-huh.
uh, which I'm super super psyched to be having that experience because that's truly one of the things that I miss, or one of the only things that I miss. So anyway, it's neat to notice the different energetic textures and vibrations of places. Like you and I have been doing so much energetic work and opening up our systems to be able to feel different things. And so when we're in different environments and things like that, and I've always felt the buzz here, and it actually always gave me anxiety. Like it was like too much for my system. Like the speed of it was too much. I obviously I have way more tools to allow myself to like ground and be in that state. So now I'm like just feeling the buzz. I don't feel that nervous twitchiness in my system. And I think that just comes from, like stabilizing certain frequencies where before, like, you get met by this big energy, and it could kind of like move you in the direction that it mostly moves people. I don't have that, so I'm not like swayed by it, but it was very interesting to like walk and just open system and feel people and feel the streets and feel the buildings and like the cars and just feel that whole essence of this place.
Mm.
uh, was pretty cool, and I was like, oh, that's different, like I get to experience that now too. um,
Cool.
yeah. So in any event, I just want to welcome you guys again to my micro hotel unit in New York City.
It really
And guys,
sounds like it sounds like you're starting to try to sell it at this point in time. Are you an investor?
and guys, lovely outdoor space in California. If you're here for the first time or with us here for the first time, just say hi so we can give you a warm welcome. Um, this is our Tuesday lives. We do this every Tuesday, so you can always feel free to come here and get the juice from being here. Every week we cover a completely different topic. Um, so
I actually
you
have
could,
a. I'd like to start some things off a little bit different this week. I thought it'd be nice to just have you guys chime in and hear your voices. Like, look, you're all here for a reason. I imagine, if we were to generalize it, it's like you're looking for a higher state of well-being in your life, right? You're looking to transform, change, shift something, upgrade some area of your life. Generally speaking, people are concerned about their inner state of well-being, so like emotional well-being, psychological well-being. Finances, obviously, a big part of life today on this planet, as it is for the time being. Our relationships should be a primary concern to us, and of course, our safety, well-being, health of our systems, nervous systems, things of that nature. And so we assume that's why most of you guys are here listening to us. Having said that, I'd love to just have in like a few words, 1 to 3 words, like set an intention for yourself today as you're here. It could be for the week, it could be for this particular training. Like, I intend to have this kind of breakthrough in my life. I intend to have this shift in my life. Like, we'd love to just hear from your voices, even if you're watching this on replay, just to chime in. Like, what are you here for? Like, get clear on what it is that you want to hear, because if you're not clear why you're here and what you're listening for, then this could just kind of wash over you.
yeah,
But if you choose something like, hey, I want to get my emotional well-being in a place that's never been in my life before. That is possible. Your finances, your relationships, all that is possible. Just by looking at people going through our programs, in as little as 2 to 4 weeks, people have massive transformative changes with our foundational programs. Okay, and so I want to say that because I want whatever conversation that we're having here, I invite you to listen through the lens of the transformation that you want to have. How is it that what Elon and I are sharing can impact that area of your life? Because if it is just like here for everything, yeah, I mean, I'm all for having the best holistic, most experiential, love-filled life like the rest of you guys. And there are things I am hyper focused on in my life. Like, when I want to deal with my health, I'm hyper focused on my health, right? When it's my family, it's my family. Now, so and it could be like a week to week transition. It can even be a day to day transition. But I want to be clear, like, what am I going to invest my energy? Where am I going to place my awareness? What am I listening for today? Because through this attunement is where you pick up on subtle things that can really make a really big difference in your life. And so just having a little bit of clarity, not just like, oh, my life is in shambles right now, I want to change that. Fine. Okay. That's okay. If like things are not going well, I know that's probably not okay for you, but like, we all got to start somewhere. And look, at the end of the day, nothing changes until we pause for a moment and we say, hey, look, this has been going on for a while, and I really want to find some kind of new strategy. Like, there has to be some way to deal with this. And to that effect, like, we're here because there is no schools of education for stuff like this. None of us went through primary school or grade schools, or whatever you call it in your country, that gave us knowledge about our machinery, which is a strange thing, to be in a body, to have consciousness, and then to have little to no knowledge about it at all. It's as strange as not getting any education around how economic systems work or and finances work, because or health and nutrition and supplementation. Like, if we really wanted to have an incredible society, we would focus obviously at least on those three things, right? Even civics and stuff like that, about how governments work, and actually arm people with the education that's necessary to thrive in this world. And for one reason or another, whatever you think those reasons might be, that's not part of this world. And Elon and I have had, through great commitment on our part over a 20-year period, put in an exhausting amount of time. Actually, it hasn't really exhausted us. That's just a phrase that we use in society. If we were exhausted, we would have stopped a long time ago. Lovingly put in a lot of time, extremes amount of effort, gone extremely deep in our systems, done some very hard processes, really at the end of the day, to be here so that we can share with you what is it that actually works. What when we test it and we apply it and we look at it at, like, large sample groups, just like scientists would take. Hey, we've applied this to thousands of people. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, people have extraordinary experiences with this. That's what we teach here.
Yeah.
Elon and I have been DJing for a long time, although I have not DJed in 2 years, believe that or not, just because I have had no space to put my decks anywhere. So, just fucking insane. But Elon used to have this line. He goes, "You know what a DJ is? A DJ is somebody who listens to a lot of shitty music so that you don't have to." All right. And in essence, that's what Elon and I have done with personal development, healing work, self help, self awareness, call it whatever you want to call it. But that's what we've done also. We've done a lot of stuff that doesn't work over a 20-year period to find out what does. And so today's topic is twofold. It's really about, how do we resource our system? The team called it, how do we go? How do we get recharged from burnout to soul alignment? That sounds all like fancy speak, but at the end of the day, it's like, really, like, what does it take to resource our systems and to operate in this world from an aligned place? Every other week, we have about 15 or 20 coaches that work with us on a regular basis, who we love and trust dearly. And for people who do our level 2 and level 3 programs, one of the perks of going through the work is you have a one-on-one coach that you get to work with. And the people who do that work are people who have shown a deep commitment to this work, have shown consistently to be able to evolve and transform themselves in every area. They have a intense amount of integrity, and it's so cool because we're at this place in our organization where we deeply trust these people, and to just hand over other people's lives to them and have them be taken care of. But at the same time, a conversation we have on a regular basis is like, okay, people have all these patterns, and the pattern is not the issue. It's where is the person doing the pattern from? Are they doing it from deprivation? Are they doing it because it's a matter of survival? Are they doing it because they've never felt love or connection outside of that pattern? And so they keep doing this pattern from this kind of um, existential fear that they have inside of their systems, instead of doing it from, like, resource and alignment and things of this nature. And so that's what we really get to change, is like, where is our energy when we're taking action? And so today's conversation is going to be all around that. Having said that, before we dive in, I'll hand it over to Elon to get his thoughts on the topic. But I want to let you guys know that one of the main resources we have here for you is the 28-day meditation challenge. And if you signed up to be part of the group, we de facto just signed you up for the 28-day meditation challenge. And that's not just these meditations. We say this every time, but these meditations are not just about you learning how to quiet your mind or things of that nature. It's so much deeper than that. It's really about learning how to heal deeply inside of your system as people walk through the scene. But as it's really learning how to cultivate well-being inside of the system, and then to act from that sense of well-being. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in consistent patterns, because the system is in depravity. It's looking for some need to be met. It's looking for some bit of information that it can get so it can kind of move on from what it's been holding on to and let go. And so there's a unique process here where we want to be able to understand how our mind is tricking us into false pretenses, into false illusions, into stories and meaning making that's not there. We want to alleviate that. And then we want to be able to go deeply into the body and resource the system so that it can act from a place of safety a place of resource, a place of balance and well-being. And then the actions that we take in this world naturally change because we're not acting from that depravity. We're not acting from that. I'm trying to get my needs met. The need is actually met now, and then we can act from there. And so that's really a really big distinction here. So I'll hand it over to you, and we'll see where the topic goes.
Yeah, I just there's a few things before I jump into that um, I just want to speak to. Um, One, Lori said that her intention for being here is transformation to my higher self. And I just want to offer you like a little tweak on the languaging of it. Um, you already are your higher self. There's nothing like to transform to your higher self because like you already are that. Okay. What you may want to kind of consider is that we've lost a certain level of connection to who we actually are. We buy into things that society tells us or friends tell us or whatever it is, right? And all of that disconnects us from who we actually are moment by moment by moment. And so it's not so much transforming to the higher self, it's actually uh, opening pathways that you can connect more deeply to that because you have to be that. You already are your higher self. It's just covered up by, a lot of stuff that we talk about quite a bit. And then Cindy Hutchinson says to get my emotions regulated. And we do this bit for anyone who's been at our live event. We create this pretty profound distinction between emotions and feelings. And so I'm not going to go into the whole thing of it. Obviously, for that, I would say come to the live event if you haven't already. Um, but the biggest distinction is just to keep in mind emotions are sensations in the body, basically, right? So, like the pinches and the squeezes and the openings and the closings and the heat and the stinging, all that's the emotions, right? That's the sensations. Feelings are what the mind looks at the sensation. So it's the mind looking at the emotion and labeling it. That is the feeling. And so saying things like, get my emotions regulated, what I would offer is that it like you don't have enough control over the emotions. The emotions are things and that are just going to naturally arise in your being, in the body, in the nervous system. Okay. Um, it's not a conscious thing that you're like activating or creating. It is just the arising. Okay. So the way we can kind of regulate that, the reason I say that is because it's very difficult to regulate emotions. Okay. I could say you can possibly regulate feelings because in that sense you're just witnessing the mind labeling some sensation in the body. And then if you don't buy into the label, that is in essence a way that you are regulating your feelings. It's very difficult to regulate emotions. Emotion is simply energy in motion. We don't have enough say really of what that is. Having said all that, when we talk about kind of like the topic of today, right? Being burnt out, overwhelmed, things like that, that basically, right? Like that's the label. But what is actually happening inside? What's happening as the experience from the emotion standpoint in our body? All that means is that there are sensations in the body that are currently occurring that the mind has convinced you that are too much. This is too much. The feeling of tightness around my heart, too much. The squeezing in my belly or my solar plexus, too much. That gut punch to the stomach feeling, too much. And when the mind labels that sensation as too much, now you're actually going into this process of overwhelm, right? Because you're just your mind is like, we got to make this stop. So the way that we can kind of start to work on that, and someone was saying that they uh, were talking about the meditations and how profound they've been. Like, our entire ethos here, okay, is expanding your ability to be with that which is. And I don't know about you guys and how your life has been, but I'm yet to meet a human being that their life just goes like this the entire time. Every human that I've ever met, it doesn't matter who they're married to, how many kids, where they live, what career, how much money, it doesn't matter. Everyone's lives that I've ever met has one of these things, right? Like, you go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's really great when it's up and it's really shitty when it's down. And that's just kind of the way that it goes. What I've noticed is when we do this work is we're not in resistance to any of it. And we're not attached to any of it. So when things are up here, we're like, great. When things are down here, we're like, okay, great. And we realize that all of this is part of the process. And the more that you can be with that which is in this very moment without trying to change it, fix it, overcome it, numb it, or any of the other things that we do. If you could just be with, okay, and now this. It's kind of one of my mantras, like, and now this, and now this. If you can be in that, what you're actually doing is you're reinforming your entire physiology that it doesn't need to fight that sensation inside. So when the heart squeezes or the solar plex tighten or whatever it is, you're not going into a reactive state of like, I have to make this stop. I have to make this stop. I have to make this stop. So let's bring this down into like real world, right? You're at work and you work really hard. Okay. You put in long hours, you're putting in all this effort. And then at the end of the day, you get to this place, you're like, oh my God, can't, fucking exhausted. Like, ugh. And you need to wash that feeling with smoking a cigarette, drinking a glass of wine, taking a hit of something, taking a pill, right? Basically, in that moment, what you're saying is the feeling that I have of overworked or tired or whatever it is not okay. And because of it, I need something to make this feeling go away. And if we're giving our nervous system that input, then now we're buying into that the sensation that I'm having, it could be tired, it could be a headache, it could be anything, is not okay. This needs to be fixed. And that's why you keep creating more and more and more of that happening in your life. It's, let's just give you another example, right? Like, you have an interaction with your kid and they start saying something or doing something, whatever, that upsets you. And you respond a certain way, right? You respond from a place of, that's not okay. And so it could be an angry response, it could be a frustrated response, it could be a dismissive response, it could be whatever it is, but you're not okay with the situation that is happening. Okay. Every time you respond from that place of it not being okay, you're actually creating more and more of that happening in your life. And how many times have you noticed that you're almost like living in this reciprocal bubble with certain people where the same things keep happening over and over and over? And you're like, I don't understand why. Because we say this all the time. It is never about the action that you take. It is always about the energy behind the action. So if in your nervous system there's tightness, there is a squeezing, there's a resistance of any kind, and you operate on top of from that place, that is now the energy behind whatever action you take. And this is what creates that struggle over and over and over again. How many of you guys can relate to that? And as I say that, You can even start to see in your life, like, oh yeah, I do see this cyclical cycle that keeps happening. And can you also see that you're at the center of all of it? And I'm not saying this is like you're to blame or you're wrong or you did something wrong. I'm not saying any of that. Most of the stuff we do completely unconscious. And can you just start to get that if that bind or that tightness or that discomfort or that overwhelm or anxiety is in my system at this moment, and I don't have practices and abilities to down regulate that, to notice it and allow it to be, and in that, it shift and move, but instead I'm acting from it, I'm trying to avoid it, or I'm trying to numb it. Can you see how that's creating that pattern in your life over and over and over again?
Cool. So I have a question for you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your ability to respond to overwhelm, anxiety, and stress in your life? Just rate yourself, and there's no wrong answers here. Maybe right now you want to prop your answer up. Maybe you're a 3, but you're going to say a 5 because a 5 looks better publicly. But I'm going to challenge you to just be honest with yourself, and that this is a shame-free zone, right? This is not about anybody who's better or worse. It's about people at different parts of the same journey. And if you're honest with yourself, it's gonna and you state it publicly and let that just be seen. And even if you feel like, notice the number as you place it in the comment box, and then just bring awareness towards the body, because you might feel an inner judgment about yourself that maybe you should be somewhere else other than where you are, and it might feel like a contraction inside the system, and you want to notice the contraction. That's going to be an important part of what I want to bring through here, because that's really what it's all about. Now, some of you guys, I just want you to check yourself again, and if you need to put a different number, please do. Maybe stress and anxiety comes up, and then you have an extraordinary amount of willpower. Like, Elon and I are very, very good at willpower. So it's just part of human development. It's not like you could get willpower or not get willpower or work on willpower. Willpower is something that happens during a childhood development. Some children, to survive, develop willpower. Other people's will is taken away from them, and both become a strategy. So some of us, in the face of stress and anxiety and overwhelm, use extraordinary amounts of willpower. And I just want to offer, willpower is not the same as being good with stress and anxiety. That means you're probably very good at acting and doing things when you're in those states. And then you hear people say, like, I work good under pressure. But so they enact action when they're under pressure, but it doesn't necessarily mean their actual experience of anxiety, overwhelm. And so there's a little distinction there that I want to create between the two. Okay. Another question for you guys is, how many of you guys would go a month without showering? Yes or no? How many of you guys could go a month without showering? Could you do it? Yeah. No, no, no. How many of you guys could do that for 6 months? A year? A decade? So here's what I want to offer. It's kind of a backhanded metaphor over here, okay? I want to offer that most people, not because of a lack of intelligence, PS, just simply a lack of awareness, and not even because they're bad, because there's no one pointed at this yet to them, is that internally there's a thing that we call energetic hygiene. Okay. E- Energetic hygiene would be a way of saying, when you have stress, anxiety, overwhelm, these things show up as contractions in our nervous system. So you can actually feel these contractions in your system. People think it's their mindset, which certainly plays a role, but the mind creates a story and a meaning and a context based off of the contractions that it's noticing inside the system. So the discomfort is in the body, and then the mind is responding and reacting. Not responding, it's reacting to those contractions. So energetic hygiene would be a way to be with those contractions in the way that actually have them get cleansed or metabolized, would probably be more accurate, from the system. Okay. So in the same token that all you guys over there, like, are you kidding? No way. I shower every day, right? Like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. In this 3D reality, in this dense reality, most people would not go very long without showering because they know they're going to be stinky, disorganized, messy. And I want to offer that most people on this planet, might be you included, and I don't want you to feel any shame or blame or guilt. Again, it's just a lack of awareness. Have never done any sort of energetic hygiene inside of their systems, any sort. So while you shower the outside of your body, the inside of your body has never been cleansed at all. And maybe you do detoxes and things like this again, right, to support the physical system. But we're not just physical beings. We are energetic, emotional, multidimensional, highly adaptive, extraordinary awareness gifts have been given to this species, right? We don't know what the fuck we're doing with them yet, but we're working on it, right? And so the same thing that you guys said you would never do to your outside of the body, why is it that we have so much room to do that to the inside of our body? Why do we give so much space and say it's totally fine if I feel like shit, if I feel this depravity, if I feel like I'm not enough, if I feel like I'm not worthy, if I can't ask for support, if I can't receive support, if I don't know that I'm good, if I think the only way to be loved is by doing things for other people? Are any of these things resonating for you, PS? This is the conditioning that most of us have been given, most of us are living with on a day to day basis. And yet, we are totally complacent for the most part in having any sort of understanding about what we could do about that. And then we think it's our psychology or it's our mind or that therapy can help in some way. We're just misunderstood or we're not smart enough. None of those things are true. None of those things are true. And so, Alicia, you asked, what other, here, let me put it on the screen. She says, what other than acceptance do you recommend when feeling of aligned energy is not present? Okay. So it's so funny how everything has so much nuance. Um, yeah, she's saying, i.e., when things take effort versus feeling and flow. There's nothing wrong, PS, with taking action in this world. Okay, like this is not a we are opposed to action. What we are pro is aligned action. What we are pro is action when you're feeling completely resourced. Okay, not doing it from the depravity, not doing it from the scarcity, not doing it from the fear. So acceptance is part of the equation, if we were going to call it that. But acceptance is not, it's not a mental aptitude thing. Like if I tell you guys, I need you to accept this, you're going to go up to your mind and you're going to try to convince the mind to change its story in order to accept what is happening. The mind does not want to do this. That is going against the flow of this mind. This mind is highly reactive. It has long since decided what is good and what is bad in this world. It has long since decided what you are capable of and not capable of. I want you to notice that the same fears that you had when you were a child, for the most part, whether it's fear of heights, fear of water, fear of insects, have not gone away. They haven't changed. Try as you might when you see a bug flying through the air to not respond. Do you respond? If you're afraid of water, is the fear still there? If you're afraid of heights, is the fear still there? You might rationally be able to tell yourself, don't be afraid. And you might even go and do that thing anyway in the face of fear, which is kudos to you. But I want you to notice that you're going against the flow of what the system is doing. And so then again, this question of willpower comes in. And so we could all, from a point of definition or context, understand, hey, just accept that. Yeah, you're no good. Accept that. That feeling in your body, yeah, accept that mentally. But notice how difficult that really is. And so that's not a pathway. It certainly might lead you to other experiences, right? And maybe over time you degrade some of that fear because you act again and again. But like I could tell you from personal experience, standing on stages in front of large groups of people, no matter how many times I've done it, has not gotten significantly more comfortable. My body has a reaction every single time. I literally feel like I'm going to pass out and die on the stage every single time. Now I can, for hours, days beforehand, be like, It's going to be fine this time. Totally cool. Not a big deal. Guy, you got this. You are an authority in this space. I get on stage, my body's like, boom, 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 boom. Like, it's so irrational to my mind. And then my mind tries to get control of it. Doesn't work. What has worked for me, though, is learning how to move my awareness. Okay. The fundamentals of what Elon and I teach. This is as ancient wisdom gets, PS. Okay. And for all the philosophy and therapy and psychology and neuroscience and linguistics that we've understood, and they're very useful, don't get me wrong, there is a very small sect of people on this planet that know any fucking thing about what awareness actually means. You think it's like, oh, I understand myself. I know why I do that. I understand when I started doing that. That has something to do with awareness. But when we are actually talking about awareness itself, it is a direct experience phenomena. It is not an understanding. It is literally where you are experiencing the world from and the quality and nature of that experience. Okay? So here's what I want to tell you. Again, for those of you guys who are newer here, when you look at, when you consider, when you question, when you hypothesize, let me see how many words I can pull out here. When you get curious about this very simple question that should be so easy to answer, but it's not. It's like, what's the sound of one hand clapping? Or if that tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? It's such a simple question, but so difficult to answer. I want you to just take a moment and look inside at your awareness and find where it's located. Where are you witnessing the world from? Where are you witnessing your experience of being alive from? The general consensus is here, somewhere between the back of these eyes, as if you're like sitting behind the eyes. But if I cut open your head, not to get morbid, would I find you in there? Is there some like little stoop where your awareness sits and like witnesses from, and then once in a while that awareness gets high on weed as walking through the streets of, New York City and just sees the world different? No. If I cut open your body, would I find your awareness? No. So we really want to ask ourselves, where the fuck is this thing? Where is this thing that is aware? And I want to clue you in that it's located nowhere and it's located everywhere. It is literally the definition of God. It is in all things. There's nothing you can point at in this world that is not that awareness that you are. It's a big statement, PS. So what we want to learn, two things. Number one, we want to understand that we are the ocean and we're also the drop in the ocean. We are everything and we're also the unique individual experiencing it from experiencing the ocean from our unique drop, right? And truth be told, the front of your toe or your elbow or the top of your head are having completely different experiences of being alive. They act different. They have different expectations. They protect themselves in different ways. All had their own awareness. There's 37.2 trillion cells, unique awarenesses acting as one, right? This shouldn't be that foreign of an idea. So if it's like that below, it's like that above. So why is all this philosophical bullshit that I'm saying useful at all? Because what we want to recognize is you are actually not behind your eyes. That is where you have located and been trained to put your awareness. When your awareness is located behind your eyes, here in this head, we call that a local awareness. We call that a conditioned awareness. That word should scare you in certain ways because it means that that awareness has been conditioned. And when you're here, there is a particular quality to your awareness and your mind, and it can only be used from the nature of that quality. So if you're ever wondering, why am I stuck in patterns? Why do I keep sabotaging? Why do I keep creating this? Why are your relationships hard? I guarantee you, after 20 years of doing this with people, the reason you're struggling is your awareness is back here, behind these eyes. And so what you see the world from, what your awareness is viewing the world from, is the conditioning of your mind. And so you're stuck in the patterns. And the next very important question would be then is how do I move myself out of that conditioning? And that's what this work is really all about. It's about learning where are these doorways to removing myself and my awareness away from that conditioning so that I can experience the world in a new way. So back to Alicia's question here. When we are able to do that, when we are able to what we call this unhooking. You unhook and you come out of the conditioned mind. You actually place your awareness in the space around you. That's how we get started with this training. Acceptance stops becoming a phenomenon of understanding or of language, and it becomes a direct experience and a willingness to sit with what arises in our experience, what is literally unfolding in our reality now. We call this an emergent phenomenon. I've now seen in very, very advanced psychology, very, very advanced quantum physics, they are beginning to use this word as well. Emergent technology, you hear this right now, emergent technologies, emergent phenomenon. Okay, this is not new for spiritual circles, new for science, because they're starting to observe it and measure it, but there is life and it is an emergent phenomenon. It's not static. It's not waiting. Like if you think about, our concerns with the planet, our concerns with artificial intelligence and what's happening is human beings have this weird thing that we have control. We think we're in control. So what are we trying to do right now? We're pretending like where we're at in history is the apex of evolution, the apex of society, and that we want to freeze evolution at this exact moment in time because we are like, this is it. Like it couldn't possibly keep evolving beyond us. Just fucking insane, because of course that's not true. So this is part of that conditioning. It wants to freeze everything as it is. And notice your desire that there was some nostalgic moment in your past, right? Like you always, people in their 60s and 70s, like I feel the same way now. It's like, rock music today. Hey, these kids don't fucking know about rock music. These kids don't know about electronic music. Back when I used to listen to it, that was the best. That was the best era. Remember that? Right? Like this feeling of nostalgia of wanting to freeze moments in your life and in time, but that's not reality. What's real is that this machine that we call the universe and this planet is ever evolving, and so are we, socially, dynamically, energetically, physically. Like if you allow it to occur, you can evolve right along with it in this lifetime much faster than most. The moment you resist, you stop that flow. Life is trying to flow through you. It's trying to move. It's trying to give you experiences, challenging ones, easy ones, pleasurable ones, right? All these type of things. But your average person, because of their conditioning, has already determined many decades ago, these are the experiences that are okay. These are the feelings that are okay. These are the sensations that are okay. Everything outside of that is just upset, riddled with upset. And because of that, you're not free, you're not liberated, and you're sabotaging your life. I guarantee you. So acceptance is a phenomena of being able to unhook from the conditioning and to view what is emerging in your reality fully. That means letting discomfort move through the system, letting pain and grief and sadness and even ecstatic joy move through your system. If you want to really open up to this work, what you're saying is, I want to open up to life. I will want to open up to experiences. And I'm telling you right now, doing this work does not ensure rainbows and butterflies in your life all the time. In fact, you're going to have to face all the grief that you haven't dealt with in your life, all the sadness that you bury deep down. For some of you guys, all the anger that you've never explored or let go of. And P.S., it's why you can't manifest shit in your life, because you're not in touch with that energetic part of you. And none of these things are bad. None of these things require judgment on your part. What we get to recognize is that every aspect of a human being is fully acceptable. You may not agree with that because you're conditioned to have some moral, idea about what a human being can and cannot do. Certainly, I don't want to see people walking around murdering each other in the streets. And having laws around that is probably a good idea, right? But like, as far as what a human being can experience inside, you want to think about how often you walk through your day and you're having an experience inside that you don't let yourself have. Maybe you meet somebody and you have a connection, but you're married and there's suddenly a romantic or erotic feeling inside of your body. I'm not saying to go cheat on your spouse. I'm saying there's just an experience that you're having inside of your body. Do you contract around that, or do you let that energy flow? Maybe your children piss you off and they hurt a part inside and you suddenly feel like a small little child that's not being listened to. Do you let that flow through your system, or do you contract around it and get really mental about how you're supposed to show up in that moment? So these are just little examples, but I want to speak to what we're not allowing as an experience of being a human being. And because of this, when things arise in our lives, we literally can't be with them. So if you want to heal, if you want to have unbelievable ability to connect with the people in your life that really matter to you and other people as well, if you want to feel safety and well-being in your system, if you want your ability to manifest what's in alignment for you to come online instead of sabotaging yourself, if you want to be able to attract things into your life that are part of that alignment, it could be wealth, it could be amazing relationships, I don't know. It depends on what you feel is in alignment for you, because only you could possibly know that. Then I could tell you, you squash the potential opportunity for all those things by not allowing the flow of energy in your body. And so I'll wrap it up with this, is that to be able to do energetic hygiene internally, right? By allowing energy to move and metabolize and clear through your system. First of all, I can't tell you how good that feels. Even when at the onset of it's challenging to like sit with parts that you have been taught are uncomfortable or deemed unworthy in some way. It takes some practice, as you can imagine, to sit with those parts and just be with them, not judge them. Just like sit there. But again, I'm telling you, you can't do this from conditioning. You cannot understand what I'm offering here. You cannot understand it through your mind. It is something you need to feel through your system. Feel into your own body. And you tell me, is there a need that you have been subconsciously trying to get met since you were a little boy or a little girl? And if you are anything like the thousands, tens of thousands of students that Ela and I have worked with, the answer is yes. You tell me, yes or no, in the chat box. And so here's a question you want to ask yourself is, how does the nervous system get that need met finally? And I want to assure you with extreme amount of confidence here that need can absolutely be met. Absolutely. And I want you to consider, what would life look like if you met that need? What if you no longer got into relationships or into businesses or try to make money or try to get your health right from that need not being met? Because again, it's not a mental thing. It's not something you can change in your conditioning. It's something that your system literally needs feedback, direct emergent feedback in your system. And then it can absolutely change. And then once a need is met inside the system, it's like satiating hunger. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Like when you're hungry, I don't know about you guys, you get hangry and shit, right? Like everything changes. Everyone's a fucking enemy suddenly, and the food can't get here fast enough. I need sugar. Like all these crazy things happen. Why? Because the system has a need, and it freaks the fuck out and starts overreacting to everything when it's deprived of that need. That is the perfect metaphor for trauma. It is deprivation from the system, its inability to get a certain need met. And so in the practices that we do here, we teach you guys first how to come out of that conditioning, how to directly experience what's happening in your system so that you can get that energetic quote hygiene and let yourself feel what it's like to let go of stuff, to actually accept the emergent part. And the second part is practices that help you get your needs met. So that feeling of depravity is gone. We call that being resourced and aligned and in a state of well-being and safety. And if you know that you're the type of person that you want that in your life, then I can tell you, you're not going to understand your way into it. You might understand everything I'm saying right now, not going to help you with not one iota. Won't do a fucking thing to change your life. So, guys, look, we have a live event coming up in the beginning of August. We have our programs level 1, level 2, level 3. We've thought about this, we've worked on it, we have systemized this stuff to such a high degree in such a beautiful process that for most of you guys it is literally unimaginable to live in this world where that need is met. And I'm telling you, it absolutely can be. And I don't mean like years from now. I mean like within weeks to months to maybe in the next year, radically different. Like your experience of being alive can be totally different than it is right now. Even if it's been some way for 30, 40, or 50 years, it could be totally different. And if you're the type of person who's interested in investigating that, then you absolutely want to be talking to someone from our team about, okay, what does that look like? And depending on, your desires, your level of commitment, how much finances and time you're willing to apply in order to learn these stuff, we will create a custom game plan for you right now. Okay. And again, we're at a point right now where it really doesn't matter at what financial level you're at or what time commitments you have or what situations you're dealing with in your life. We have something for you. We've literally like designed this from like the ground up so that like whether you want to make this, you absolutely know you want to commit to this over a very long period of time and get the type of guidance from us that has led us to these levels of understanding. Amazing. If you're just somebody who wants to dip their toe in, you want to do this at your own pace, amazing, right? Like we've really listened to this community and said, okay, people are here and people are here. Some people are like balls to the wall, like I'm ready to work with you guys for the next year and a half. Sweet, let's do that. Some of you guys are like, not really sure, sounds interesting, but like I'm not ready to make that commitment. Fine. Like we totally understand and appreciate that. At the end of the day though, if you don't take some action in your life, chances are tomorrow is going to look a lot like today or some version of what's going on today. So if you know that you want to make some kind of change, you want to do that sooner than later, then just type in "I'm in the comment box below, and somebody from our team, Ella, Corey, Tobias, Mel, somebody will reach out to you, get information in your hands. And the best thing to do is to just get on a quick 15, 30-minute call with them. Tell them honestly, like we'll take a small assessment from you. We'll see where you're at. Tell them what's going on. And they can create a custom game plan for you and tell you exactly here's where your time and money is best invested, given on what you told me, where your desires are and your level of commitment. And then you get to choose yes or no. Okay, it's as simple as that. Bro, sorry for ganking all this, but on a stream here. So anything you want to add in?
I had an interesting thought. I just didn't want to stop you before. You were saying, why do people have such a need for hygiene, like brushing their teeth, showering every day, and all that kind of stuff? And you're like, why don't we do that for ourselves internally? And the thought that I had is because we can't see what's happening inside. Like you shower not because you want to shower, but because if you walked out smelling, you're going to be self-conscious. You brush your teeth and take care of your teeth because you smile and you don't want your breath smelling when you're talking to people, right? Imagine if we got rid of all of that, that there was a way that someone needs to smell or that there was that someone's breath or teeth need to look. Because truth be told, like when we were cave people, none of that mattered, right? Like this is all conversations that we created. Like it is important to look this way physically. It's important to smell this way or blah, 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 blah. And some people don't buy that, right? Like there's plenty of countries I go to where they just have a different conversation around that stuff. The reason that we do all of those things is because of those conversations and because we can see, smell, experience those things. The reason that we don't is because of what's happening inside. We can't see. Likewise, right now in this country, all of our infrastructure, uh, plumbing that pumps water into homes and locations is falling apart. It's like legit falling apart in this country, in the US right now. There are cities where they have to boil their water and have had to for over a year because what's coming out of the pipes is brown.
Many years, actually.
Yeah. Now, our government has been kicking this can down the road for decades now. Why? Because it's going to be an expensive as fuck project, right? Like you're talking trillions of dollars to be able to rip that up and do it all again. But it's underground. No one sees it. It's like if you were going to redecorate your home and you spent $200,000 taking out the walls and putting all new pipes and then putting the walls exactly where they were. You spent all this money, but when someone walks into your house still looks exactly the same. So there's no notion of improvement, right? External notion of improvement. It's the same reason we don't do the work inside. And what I want to like shift the conversation is when you do this work, it is the biggest bang for your buck because everything external is created by internal. So if you don't like what's happening outside in your life at this very moment, and you notice that there's this pull to go out there and change this or fix that or alter this, whether it's a person, a relationship, a business, or whatever, if anything inside of you is telling you to go out here and fix it, let me be the first to tell you, you're going to be playing a losing game. And whether it's 3 years from now, 5 or 10 or 15, you're going to come back to us and go, you know what? You were right. I should have done this in the first place. So trust me. And if you don't trust me, go to talk to other people that have been in this program. If you're out there trying to fix this, all you're doing is you're pulling the tops of the weeds. That's it. Those weeds are going to keep coming back over and over and over again. And you're going to get more upset every single time. And you're going to end up spending more money and invest more time and energy every single time, pulling more and more and more because you pull one to grow. And now you're like, fuck, how did I end up here? Until you're willing to go down and actually deal with at the root level what is happening inside, you're just picking weeds. And it's a losing game. Do this work and watch as all of your relationships without you having to have them read the same books or do the same programs as you, just like watch these people be completely different beings. It's so easy. It's just the unsexy work because it's like the work that when you start, no one's going to see that you redid your face or this and that. But you trust me, you do this work for a year, you will look younger, you will feel younger, you will be in the best shape of your life, like all of it, because you've given that to yourself. And take it from someone that's done it 15 years the wrong way. Like I did all that. So if you want to avoid that frustration and you want to avoid the feeling of stuckness or the chasing, all roads lead to in. All roads lead to in. And it's up to you whether you decide to do that now or you're going to decide to do that in 5 to 10 years. But you will eventually be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Here. I agree. All right, everybody. I think we'll cap it off there. Again, if we can support you, if you're watching this on replay, same thing applies. If you want support, you want to come to an event, you want to check out what we're doing behind the scenes in our advanced work. If you want to go at your own pace, go ahead.
Make your video bigger.
Yeah, sorry. That's what she said.
Uh,
um, yeah, then just comment I'm in down below. You know, I just want to really say, like, this work is not about being a pious person. It's not about being perfect. It's not about figuring out how to finally be enough. It's about really accepting and liberating to our humanity in a way that we've never done before. If you want to know why people are callous, if you want to know why they're uncaring, it's because that's how they're being internally with themselves. Again, a lack of internal awareness and a lack of internal hygiene. It is the precondition to every condition on planet Earth. So if you really want clarity, you got to face what's inside. And the more you're willing to do that, and you can do inside a community and in very specific ways. Again, we're not just saying like, look inside, it's all shit down there. Like that's very scary to do it that way. I don't recommend that. It will actually traumatize you more. There's very specific ways to view what's happening internally and to get support around that so that, like I said, the needs of the system can get met. And then literally, it is wildly unpredictable in the best way possible what comes after that. Because you've never sat in this chair, in this world, in this body, viewing the world from that need getting met before. If you've been, again, a depraved, hungry person your entire life, and you don't know the feeling of satiation or being full, it's the same thing for people around safety and well-being and connection. They don't really know it. They know it from a place of protection. They know it from a place of defense. And they know themselves that way too. You know how to be judgmental with yourself. You know how to make yourself suffer. You don't know how to be most people. I've never met anybody, so I'm generalizing here, but people don't know how to sit inside of safety in their body. They don't know how to regulate their nervous system. They don't know how to feel compassion towards themselves. They don't know how to ask for and receive support. And if that's true for you, if I'm speaking directly to you, you absolutely want to invite yourself to do this work. We're super excited to invite you into this community, into this work. If that's what you decide to do, Elon's got to go. And, it will absolutely and radically change your life for the better. I guarantee you. Love you very much. Thank you for your time and attention today. We'll see you back here next week. Thanks, everybody.